Someone needs to tell me where I messed up, or if it's the recipe is broken, because this was my first total failure. Today I'm making Kender granny bread from Tika's cookbook In Leaves from the Inn of the Last Home. If you've made this recipe, share your thoughts in the comments below. I came into this recipe with the best of intentions. My wife makes homemade bread regularly, so I thought this would be a slam dunk if I needed to rely on her expertise. Since the recipe makes 4 loaves of bread, I was not surprised by the massive amount of ingredients. I collected 3 packages of dry yeast, 1/2 a cup of warm water, which I sweetened with 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 cup of milk, 3/4 cup of butter, 1 cup of sugar, 9 egg yolks, and 3 separate whole eggs. This is an incredible amount of eggs. We also have 1/2 cup light cream, 1/2 pound of confectioner sugar, 2 ounces of whiskey. I chose Wild Turkey 101 because it's awesome. 1/2 a teaspoon of vanilla, 2 cups of flour, yeah, only 2. This has to be an error. And 1/2 pound white raisins. Golden and white raisins are the same. Then, for the crumbs on top, we have 1/2 cup of butter, 1 cup of flour, and 1 cup of sugar. I started by dissolving the yeast in the warm water and sugar mixture. It ended up foaming up like crazy after 10 minutes. Then I asked my wife to help me separate the 9 egg yolks and whites. She made an omelet with the whites, and I only ruptured 1 yolk. Normally, I would use our chicken's eggs, but with this many and an untested recipe, I didn't want to waste ours, and not to mention that they lay fewer eggs in the fall and winter, so store-bought it is. Then I heated the milk and butter together until melted and added the sugar. After mixing, I slowly added the egg yolks and whole eggs, beating them together. I started this all with a wooden spoon, transitioned to a whisk, and finally to an electric mixer. My forearms really needed the rest. Next, I added in the cream, sugar, whiskey, vanilla, stirring them all together. Then I added 1/4 of the flour mixture and the yeast, and mixed it until it was smooth, and then followed that up with the remaining flour. Again, it only said to use 2 cups of flour. Normally, a bread recipe asks for 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 cups of flour for a 2-loaf mixture. So these 2 cups are a joke. The instructions said to stir until the batter left the sides of the bowl, but it never did. I added another cup of flour to no avail. At my wit's end, my wife suggested I keep adding flour. I added 6 total cups of flour, and it was still completely wet. So I just did my best kneading it, knowing some dough is just wet initially. This did not resolve the issue. My wife helped me by sprinkling more flour on top, but it was just a big, gloopy, sticky mess that never became dough. Finally, after exhaustion and frustration had turned to resignation of failure, I put it in a greased up bowl and turned it once over, allowing it to rise. Then, I turned my attention to the crumb topping. I added the butter, cutting it up into the previous mixing bowl as directed. Then I added the flour and sugar, scraping the sides of the bowl and breaking it all up into a sugary, crumbly mess. I set that aside, and after 2 hours, the dough still had not risen in the warm but not hot oven. So I took it out. I split it into 4 different loaves. The recipe said to punch the risen dough down and knead for another 5 minutes. But without it rising, it was not able to be kneaded. This first proved to be my downfall. After putting the dough into the greased bread pans, I added the topping and pressed lightly onto the dough and tried to let it rise. It did rise a bit, but not enough, so I finally admitted defeat and put them in the oven at 350 degrees for 30-ish minutes. Mine took about 50 minutes. When they came out, they didn't look terrible, and they had risen, doubling in size, which was what they were supposed to do, but they still lacked height from that first proving. The bread itself is good, but sweet as all get out. I now have 4 dense, sweet loaves for the holiday to enjoy? I will never make this recipe again, and if any of you can tell me if the 2 cups of flour is wrong, how much should I have added instead? Thank you so much for tuning in to this DragonLance recipe episode. This has been Adam with DragonLance Saga, and until next time, Slanjavar.